Welcome to In the Cut with Arthur. You're in the cut. I'm Arthur. Thanks for coming. Today is episode 3. And so I just want to get started, I guess. It's just me today. It was nice to have my girlfriend on last week, and I do plan to have her on in the future, but it just didn't work out this week. So cool. I do have some things. I don't know. It's been fun so far. I've actually really enjoyed doing this. It has been kind of the fun outlet that I was hoping. Like I said, if anyone's out there that's listening, or in the future, whenever, and you've ever thought of doing something, just do it. Just try. Honestly, like I said, I mean, this is nothing right now. It's super bootleg. I have some for episode 2. I have a crusty clown picture because I don't have any type of art. I'll probably try making something, even if it's bootleg, this weekend maybe. But I have really been enjoying it. I have. It has kind of been like a fun outlet to kind of just express myself and just kind of put things out there into the world. So definitely, don't be like me who just waited forever to just try doing something. And I think a big part of it, at least for me, is it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be anything, but I think it actually is pretty rewarding just doing it just to do it. And if you are looking to get huge, you got to start somewhere. So do it. Do it. I don't know. I've been enjoying it, and it's been kind of fun. I think I've actually been wanting to do more pods. I'm kind of surprised what I started earlier this week, and this is already my third one. And so that's honestly been a little surprising for me. So I didn't think I was going to be doing this many. I thought maybe once a week. I almost did one last night, but decided to get some bed rest. But here I am today. A lot of things I'm excited about. I'm a very excitable person. So let's see. So let's get into it. So, okay, first things first, the NBA, the Lakers, loving what's going on right now. The Lakers have signed LeBron for 2 years. Let's be honest. I think LeBron, is, although he's superhuman, he had a great season. I think that is going to take him a little past his prime. But I still think it's a great pickup. I think the Lakers, I'm biased. That's what they do. They take care of their stars. They're not going to be the team that's going to trade you or force you into retirement in old age, and I think they want that image out there. They did it for Kobe, and Kobe had his, Achilles injury after that, but I think the Lakers are the team that's still going to do that because they want to show, hey, if you're a star and you want to come to LA, this is a home. We're a family. Come here. We're not just going to use you for a ring and then, get out of here. So I love it. Obviously I think with the ring last year, he's earned it. The most interesting thing about LeBron for me is that his contract ends the year Bronny comes in. And I think as long as he doesn't have, knock on wood, if he doesn't have any big injuries, I think he goes and plays his last year with Bronny. I doubt it's going to be the Lakers because, from what it's looking like, Bronny will probably be a top pick. But I think it happens. So that'll be kind of cool. I think that's cool for him, cool for his son to be able to do. If I was able to do that, I would do that. So I'm pretty sure he would probably do that to be with his son if everything kind of continues working out. AD, we locked in AD. I'm not going to lie. I was a little nervous that we weren't going to lock in AD. First off, the Lakers haven't had the luck really since Kobe. And I know we got the ring last year. And, obviously we got LeBron and we got AD in the first place. But to me, there was many a summers of, Aldridge was going to come to the Lakers, or Paul George back in the day was going to come to the Lakers, or, all this stuff. And it just never happened, until LeBron came. And then we got AD in the trade, but the AD thing for me just seems so up in the air. I don't know. I think when we won the chip, I think, he had a good enough experience winning the chip that, it would make him want to stay. And I don't even know if that was a deciding factor, but, sometimes I feel like those things can go the opposite way. Sometimes I think like I got the chip, I can go somewhere else now. So I can go if I want to go home to Chicago, or, that was a big rumor. If he wanted to go, I don't think he'd want to go to the Knicks, but if he wanted to go somewhere else. So, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hesitant. I do have a little son, and he's a AD fan, and I had even told him I wasn't gonna buy him an AD jersey until AD committed to a contract, because that would suck to buy him a jersey and then next summer AD's gone. But I'm definitely happy he's back. We signed Dudley. I I actually think Dudley is an underrated participant to this team. Like I said, I'm a huge Lakers nerd, so I follow them all on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. And I think one of the biggest things that Dudley, resonated, he had tweeted resonated with me, and I even kind of applied to my real life is, it was pretty much, and I'm paraphrasing, is it was just do your role, don't do more, don't do less, just do what your role is to do. And I think especially on a team where you have like a lot of talent, having a guy like that who can kind of balance things out and kind of has the respect of people, because I think it is easy to kind of for these egos to clash. And I think that's usually what you see in these teams that are really good and they kind of fall apart. I mean, look at Houston. I mean, that didn't even last. And there's other examples of that. So I think he's kind of one of those guys that, yeah, I mean, we're not going to really get any significant minutes out of him. I mean, we could, and I remember last year, Lakers Twitter was going off, like, how did we have Dudley? We didn't sign Carmelo, and not that I think Carmelo is a locker room cancer or anything. I don't necessarily buy into that narrative, but I do think, if you're looking at like a plus minus, similar to my ha-has per minute, I think of like, plus minus of, I don't know, kudos or, positive vibes. I think Dudley's going to be a higher positive vibe, per minute than Carmelo. And I'm not even trying to besmirch Carmelo or drag him. I just think Dudley's that kind of dude. You see the videos of him on Backstage Lakers. You see his tweets. You see, him hanging out. I really love JaVale McGee's vlogs and seeing him on there. And you just see that this guy is all about the team. Whatever the team needs, he will do it. If the team needs him to be on the bench, he'll be on the bench. And I think he takes a lot of these guys under his wing, like Kuzma. And I think all Lakers want to see Kuzma do really well. I think the little bit of that we saw Kuzma improve. And I think, even seeing Kuzma's improvement in the playoffs, I think is a lot thanks to Dudley, because I think Kuzma definitely is kind of one of those guys. He's got a strong personality and he has strong feelings about himself. And I think you have to compete in the NBA. But I think Dudley helped Kuzma kind of channel that energy in the right direction instead of getting upset if he wasn't playing so many minutes, or, if he wasn't doing this, or if the, plays weren't going for him, really to keep him engaged and kind of help him learn what he needs to do to be a stronger, better player. And I think it helped us tremendously. And I think, Dudley's one of those guys that kind of just helps the team morale, helps the team mindset. He's a real balanced kind of guy. So, I'm honestly happy that we have Duds back. Lakers just added back Quinn Cook today. Like him, love him. He was a huge Kobe fan. So, it's kind of like I am a huge Kobe fan. He's, pretty much when I started being able to watch basketball and start to like understand it, kind of that age, was when Kobe was coming into the league. And so I was already a Lakers fan. I remember my first favorite Laker was Nick Van Exel. And then, as I was watching, Kobe Bryant came in to the Lakers, and, he was this young kid, could dunk and stuff. And I was finally kind of starting to understand the game, recognize players, have favorite players. And so, like, I feel like I grew up loving the game of basketball around him. Also, doesn't hurt that he won 5 championships, and had the cool endorsements with, Sprite and McDonald's. And I remember I wanted those pair of ugly Adidas shoes so bad. Um, and I just like I've said before, I love basketball, um, and was and am a huge Kobe fan. And when I was in college, a lot of papers, if I could relate them to Kobe, or if I had to give a speech or something, I could relate it to Kobe. I did, like everything. So I just truly admired him and respected him. Um, and I grew up with my parents, so I always feel kind of weird, but like and my dad is a big part of my life, so I always feel like when I say this, it's almost like he wasn't. But Kobe was a huge mentor in my life. Just the way he played, the tenacity, the go out there and do it. I mean, some of it's why I'm doing this now. It's like, if you want something, you got to go get it. So I'm not perfect of living the Mamba mentality, because like I said, it's taken me longer than I wanted to, but I still do it. So I was fortunate enough to meet him last year in, I believe it was like September, October, which was was on my bucket list, and was a great experience. I got to take my daughter, Yami was there, my girlfriend, one of my good friends, and it was a great experience that I'll always remember. But obviously he's passed since, and it makes that moment even more special because it was only months later that he passed. But Quinn Cook was a huge Kobe fan as well. And when Kobe passed, it kind of like I talked about in the first podcast. You kind of like can relate to these people that you don't know. But seeing Quinn Cook mourn Kobe's loss, felt as like a fan. There's videos of him when he was meeting Kobe. I believe it was like an Olympic team, or I don't remember what team he was on. And he was just so excited that like Kobe said hi to him or something, and it's just relatable. So I am glad to have him back, but I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wanted to see Pau Gasol come back to the Lakers. There was a lot of rumors. I feel like LeBron even kind of hinted to it, but that Quinn Cook took the last roster spot. So as of right now, unless they cut somebody or trade somebody, it's not going to happen. Are we going to get a lot of minutes from Powell? No. I mean, but at the same time, are we going to get a lot of minutes from Quinn Cook? No. So I'm not trying to slander him. It just is what it is. I mean, right now, these Lakers have a stacked team, and I love it. For adding Schroeder to adding, Trez, AD, LeBron. I love me some Caruso. Adding Gasol. We got a little bit of a squad, so I'm excited. Would have liked to see Powell. I think for the Kobe connection. And it's still special, the 2 championships he won with Kobe here, and Powell's kind of been that guy to step up as the. He's not a Laker legend, but he's kind of been the guy to kind of step up and just kind of represent, and represent for Kobe, and, do things for Kobe. So, because of that, I guess the sentimental reasons I wanted to see Powell back. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited. I think they start practicing this weekend. I mean, like I said, they look good on paper. And I know that doesn't matter. It matters how you look on the court. But I have faith in these guys, and I think adding Schroeder is so good. I think right now, don't quote me on this in the future. I hope I'm right, but especially him and Montrez, they can make their own shots and do stuff. And I think where LeBron's at in his career, I don't think he needs to be the focal guy. I think he's okay kind of being a deterrent. I think he's okay picking his spots, making his team better. If we need him in crunch time at the end of the game, then he can step up. I personally don't think he wants to be the guy who's has the ball in his hands, wants to be dropping 30, 35 points every night. I think he'll be okay dropping 20, 25, picking those spots, like I said. He'd rather run the offense through AD. He said it last year. He showed it through his actions. So I think if these other guys can kind of pick up the slack, he'll do it. I think LeBron had to do a lot last year because we'd have these moments where, like, especially when he'd go on the bench and it's like the offense got so stale. One thing, I really want to see AD work on is a little bit of a killer instinct. I think there was times where he kind of shied away from it and kind of just laid off, but obviously this dude has tons of potential. He's young. He's a beast, when he goes at it. So I'm excited to see that. Contrary, I am excited to see the Clippers. They just don't look that great. There's drama over there. There was an article I read, and so it was talking about Kawhi and Paul George. And so this is, reporting from The Athletic, and they're saying that some of the perks that George and Kawhi received that other players did not. So one was Kawhi and PG had their own personal security guards and trainers. I don't know. I think that's pretty normal for stars. So I think that one's kind of like, if you ain't a star, chill, use what the team has for you. But Leonard and George had control over practice schedules and travel. Now that kind of sucks. And yeah, I know there was issues with that team practicing. At least that's what was reported. Kawhi was allowed to live in San Diego and commute to Los Angeles. And I think that would cause him to be late to flights and stuff. So again, I think that kind of sucks. I think, here and there, but I think you got to be fair to everybody. And let's see, Leonard and George had more control over when they talked to the media. I had read an article where it said like they would pretty much go last. So pretty much the teammates had to be the face to the media, and, they had to be the ones to go out there and talk often. So yeah, that also sucks because, I think when it comes down to it, you guys are the ones that getting paid the big bucks, right? I know they're all getting paid big bucks compared to you and I, but yeah, they're the ones that are the stars. They're the ones getting paid all this stuff. So, they should be out there. So, yeah, let's see. What else is there? Players also believe that both stars were able to pick when they played. If you remember, Leonard had a handful of games last season for the ever-popular phrase, load management. Yeah, I also think that's kind of messed up. Part of the article also, one of the ones I read said that they would pick, even in the game, if they would go in or if they'd come out, which, I don't think is cool. And especially if, Doc Rivers, well, don't get me wrong, Doc Rivers blew. Yeah, I think he was kind of due to be out of there. He's had some pretty crappy seasons there. But if you're going to kind of go and blame him, and then you are picking when you play and don't play, come on. Anyway, so yeah, so I love it. I'm sorry, call me a hater, whatever you want. I love to see some Clippers failures, so I'm here for it. I love it. So we'll see. Also, other exciting news. I don't know if it's exciting, but now all the Ball brothers are in the NBA. So let's see what kind of fiasco that is. Very underwhelmed when Lonzo was here in LA. Now he's New Orleans problem. So I thought it was pretty interesting, talking about New Orleans. I saw on NBA Central, they had their projected standings. And so in the eighth spot in the West, I'm going to focus on the West first. They had the Suns. Now, okay, I think the Suns are good. I think that's probably fair. Now in the seventh spot, they have the Pelicans. I feel like we're a little overhyped on the Pelicans. Now I think Brandon Ingram is, a big, strong player. He's getting better and better. I'm excited to see what he does. I don't regret trading him. Obviously, we got the chip with AD, but I think it sucks. The Lakers' model to success isn't getting young players and having patience. It's getting full blown stars. So, I definitely think he has a lot of potential. So we'll see where he goes. 6, they have the Mavericks. I think that's pretty spot on for the Mavericks. I think they're a good team. Obviously, Luka's a beast. So, and he caused a lot of problems for the Lakers when they played and everybody. So I think that's spot on. 5, they have the Nuggets. I think that's a little disrespectful. They were in the Western Conference Finals, and we're going to drop them to 5. Um, I don't know. I don't know. That 4 we have the Jazz. I don't know about that either. For me, I feel like that's a little bit high. 3 they have the Rockets, which I think is super high. Um, I mean, the Rockets are going to do Rockets things. I don't think they're that much. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. I don't know. I'm not a fan of James Harden. To me, I think he is a tremendous scorer. I'm not a fan of the way he plays. Um, I personally think a lot of his plays, whether they're called or not, are borderline travels or offensive fouls. So I'm not a fan of it. Go ahead, and if you have another opinion, let me know. Um, but it's not my thing. They have the Clippers at 2. I think the Clippers are going to be a top 4 team, but I guess 2. I guess that these other teams would probably do edge them out, and they have the Lakers at 1, which I think is fair, considering that the Lakers obviously are the defending champions, and on paper they got better. So until the season goes, I think that's a fair projection. I think where I have issue with this is one. I think some teams are ranked a little bit higher than they probably should be, and I think it should be shuffled around a little bit. I think there's a little bit more for the Pelicans than they probably deserve. And I also feel like it's a little disrespectful to the Blazers, who I thought had when they had their 3 guys, they had Nurkic, they had Dame, and they had CJ. They were playing pretty well, and the Lakers handled them. What can we say? But I thought they were a very competitive team, and I think mostly why they were on the outside looking in when we went into the bubble, because Nurkic had injuries last year. So I think had that not been the case, apologize, I think they would have been a little bit higher. So I personally would probably, I think that 7-8 spot can flip. Um, I think D-Book, that dude's a beast. I think having CP3, what he did with Oklahoma last year, I think that makes that team scary. Are they championship contending? No. But are they playoff contending? Yes. So I could technically even see them going higher and bumping some people down. The Pelicans, it's just, are they going to be able to pull it together enough? I think Zion's probably, I hope he's going to be legit, because that's just, exciting to see another young stud coming up. But I think what worries me about him is health and longevity. So I don't know. We'll see. I definitely think I would probably put the Pelicans on the outside looking in, and then I would put the Blazers up there just based off of the eye test. I don't follow the East that much because, like I said, I mostly follow the Lakers, but they have the Hawks at 8. I'm okay with that, I guess. The Pacers at 7. The one that's a little weird for me is the Nets at 6. I think, obviously, I guess this is contradictory to what I say about the Pelicans, but, obviously, I think, we got to see where KD's at and Kyrie when they come back. But I think, if we have a healthy KD, which I think we will have, I think, the videos we've seen of him practicing, it's just practice. He looks really good. I also think KD's game probably lends him to doing well, coming back from the injury, because I don't think he has like Zion has a very explosive game, whereas KD is kind of smooth. He doesn't, it's not, he dunks, but he's not like jumping out the building naturally anyway. So I think I would put KD in the East. I definitely have to put him higher. We got the Celtics at 5. Man, they'll probably hang around there. 76ers, that's another team that I don't necessarily think is going to be as good as they look on paper. I think they to me, they almost seem like the Clippers of the East at this point. Like, they kind of have some good players, but they just can never figure it out and get it together. So they have the Heat at 3, which I think is a little disrespectful since they made it to the finals. The Raptors at 2. I don't think the Raptors got better. So I probably would have put, if anything, the Heat at number 2. They still have the Bucks at 1, which I think makes sense. The Bucks were number 1 last year, even though they choked in the playoffs. But I think if we're looking at a regular season, they'll probably do that again. So yeah, exciting stuff. Can't wait for this to start. I'm sure we'll have more as we keep going to talk about. Let me know. Let me know what you think. If there's anybody out there, and I'd even be willing to talk about it. Let's talk about this stuff. I love talking about it. I love hearing other people's opinions. I actually, when I go online and look at a lot of stuff, sometimes I like to look in the comments because, yeah, we're not the analysts, but I like to hear what real fans have to say, not just the, oh, I'm a LeBron hater, or, there's always like the LeBron D-writer comments and stuff like that. But, I think there's people like me in there in the comments who have some interesting things to say. So, yeah. So, yeah, I love to see it. All right. So my next topic that I want to talk about was The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian just aired. I believe it was chapter 16 today. What was the name of it? Let me see. I should be prepared, but hey, this is a bootleg operation right now. Okay, yes. This was so this was chapter 14, episode 6 in season 2. Sorry, my throat is dry and I am thirsty. So, anyway, as soon as it came on and it said the tragedy. Oh, first off, spoiler. I know nobody's listening to this, but on the off chance somebody gives me a listen, I don't want them to hate me for spoiling The Mandalorian. Spoiler, because I'm just going to talk about it. And anybody who listens to it in the future, if you didn't watch this in the past, spoiler. So, so as soon as it came up, and mind you, okay, so at this point, we just came off chapter 13, The Jedi, which was great, seeing Ahsoka Tano battle and use lightsabers. And to me, it was really cool to see a live-action Jedi. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was really cool because, like, I feel like we haven't really seen any live action versions of like really cool Jedi. And go ahead, if you want to debate me again, let's talk about it. But here's my point. In the prequels, I don't think there's really any like badass Jedi stuff. Like, yeah, there's some cool fights and stuff, but not really. And then if you look at the original trilogy, Luke was not a Jedi, probably until the last movie. And at that point, he didn't really do anything like that crazy. And then if we look at the latest 3 movies, Rey was not a Jedi. And even once she became a Jedi, technically at the end, she didn't really do that much either. So, yeah, so I don't know. I thought like she was kind of like the first like strong Jedi that we've seen in live action. So it was pretty cool to see her using the Force while she was fighting and, doing different strategies with the lightsabers. I loved it. It was so exciting. So we came off that episode and then chapter 14 comes on and it's called The Tragedy. And I'm like, all right, in my head, they do a pretty good job of naming their episodes. So I was like, either somebody's going to die or Grogu, the homie Grogu, is going to get taken. Like, that's it. Like, that's what's there to happen because what else could be a quote-unquote tragedy? I didn't really think that anyone was going to die because there's 2 more episodes, and I'm pretty sure there's probably going to be a season 3. But the show's called The Mandalorian, so if we kill the Mandalorian, do we really have a show? And also, I think if we kill the child, well, he's not the child anymore. If we kill the homie Grogu, then what is his life going to be around anymore? So, to me, as soon as I saw that, I thought what was going to happen happened, that they were going to take baby Grogu. So, the episode, starts with them going to look for this Jedi like beacon area that Ahsoka had told them about. And they get there pretty easily, uneventful. And he takes them to this little thing. He puts Grogu on there. Okay, hold on. There was some super cute moments when they are driving, flying. I don't know what you consider flying a spaceship, there. And Grogu, and as they're going there, he asks, he keeps on trying to like test that the child's name is Grogu, and so like he'll he'll be like, oh, Grogu, and then like he'll make like his little like cute cooing sounds and like look at him, and I swear they made this thing even cuter this season, which I don't know how it was possible, but yeah, so yeah, that was amazing, and fun. And then he has him do like the little force catch with him, and I feel like there was a moment, again, I already felt like something was going to happen to him. I actually thought something was going to happen to him last episode, because they had pretty much, the episode before that said that they had put a tracking beacon on his ship, and then he left Grogu. It's weird. Gang used to saying Grogu. He left Grogu in the ship while him and Ahsoka went to go fight in the city, and then they said, okay, let's go back to the ship to get Grogu, so that way Mando could give him to Ahsoka. I thought at that point they were going to go there, and that's when hijinks was going to happen, and Grogu was going to be either taken or taken right then as they were getting there. Nope, they saved it for this episode. So yeah, they get to that area, and like Grogu kind of looks like he doesn't know what to do when he gets there. But then as soon as Mando turns his back, he does this like crazy like force thing where this like the force is like around him and like a beacon up in the air. And I'm telling you, it was wild. Like Mando tries to stick his hand in it because he sees a ship coming. And for any Star Wars nerd, you're able to tell that that was Boba Fett's ship. And so he tries to get Grogu, but he cannot penetrate this little like force beam. And so that, I mean, I'm so curious. Like, what was that? Like, what did it do? Did it signal anybody? Was it like some sort of like time warp? Like, I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. I do have to say, okay, I feel like I'm a fairly strong Star Wars nerd, but I haven't read comics, I haven't read the books, so I guess consider it what you may of my level of nerdom for this. I also realized I am deeply missing out because I didn't watch Clone Wars the cartoon or Star Wars Rebels, and I feel like The Mandalorian has been a little bit of a ploy to make us watch that on Disney Plus, and guess what? They got me. They fucking got me. So I've been streaming that, trying to catch up because I feel like this show is like filled with references to things that have happened in those cartoons, and it's almost like this live action sequel to it. So I've been trying to catch up so that way I can catch all these references and I don't feel so left out. So yeah, so anyway, I don't know of any beam like that. It was pretty crazy. That had to have done something. Trying to think what Jedis are out there. I know there's a couple, and like I said, I don't know the names because I know they're from Clone Wars. Or Rebels that might be out there, and obviously the big bad, not a big bad, but I mean like he's like big, in the universe. Luke Skywalker's out there, so we'll see if Luke calls him. Here's the thing though, and I guess this has to happen no matter what. In the whole timeline of things, there's a couple things that really can happen. I think one, Grogu either decides to not be a Jedi, and some of that may be out of because there's no Jedi to train him. But Ahsoka mentioned that he sees Mando as kind of like a father figure. Dave Filoni's been pretty big on like father figures and how he feels they play into the Star Wars universe. So he may decide to not train with a Jedi so he can stay with Mando because he is attached to him and is bonded to him. So that can happen. and then he would never enter Luke, and then this would also not mess up the timeline of why we never see Grogu in the movies or anything. The other thing is obviously Grogu and or Mando, or both, die. And again, to help kind of explain why we don't see them in the future. So that will kind of suck. Yeah, I mean, I feel like those are like really like the only big outcomes it could be, because let's say Luke hears him. And at this point, I think Luke would probably have started trying to build his Jedi temple and his Jedi following. So he's like, "Oh, damn, somebody's here with the Force. Like, I'm gonna go get him. So I'm gonna train him." And he goes to get Grogu, and then you're like, "Okay, cool." But then how come I didn't see him in The Force Awakens, or nobody was like, "Hey, yo, hey Ray, go check out Grogu. Like, Grogu's a homie. He's gonna come help you. Like, you're not alone." Um, I know he said, "I'm not the last Jedi." Like, oh dang, maybe he was talking about Grogu. I don't think so. So, then that would mean if he took him to train him, that he escaped Order 66 to just be killed by Ben Solo. That's tough. That's like 100% tough if you really think about that. So I think it's probably going to end up being that he doesn't decide to be a Jedi per se, and maybe he's a Force user-ish, but doesn't become a trained Jedi. Who knows? I mean, also Mando left that area, so I mean, who knows? Maybe Grogu was talking to people via Force, like maybe that was like a big Force satellite to talk to people. Who knows? I guess we'll have to see, but that's going to be my bet. So anyway, so Boba Fett shows up, crazy. I have never been a huge Boba Fett fan. I'm not part of that huge fandom. I know a lot of people are. I'm all Rebel all the way. Also, I didn't dislike him, but I never saw the appeal of him, for being honest. I mean, if you look at the movies, he doesn't really do anything cool, and then he kind of just gets blasted into a Sarlacc pit. Not that cool, in my opinion. So, but I know a lot of people are excited to see him. But yeah, I mean, he comes back, "I'm here for my armor." And he wants his armor, and then Mando's like, "Well, have you taken the creed?" "Nah, but it's my armor." It's like they go in that kind of whole battle, and he says he's gonna help him. And I don't get me wrong, I liked it, but I feel like it was a little bit of fan service of how badass they made Boba Fett. But I guess he was a bounty hunter too. But he just he has this like crazy crane. It almost reminded me of the Lion King when Rafiki goes and fights all the lions, and he just starts spinning, doing kung fu. Like all of a sudden, Boba's just like spinning this like little like long stick and just like smacking, like literally shattering stormtroopers' faces. It was pretty epic. And then he ends up seeing that the ship, and he goes in the ship and gets his armor, and then he really starts murking people with it. And I think all the people are part of the huge Boba Fett clan. Probably just their pants, for being straight up. I think it was that cool. So then then they're trying to get Grogu, and yeah, then they send these like Iron Man, like I forget what he called them. I only watched episode once. They were like black troopers or something like that. I don't know. They were like robots. They reminded me of like Ultron / stormtroopers. And we do got Jon Favreau writing this stuff. But they like blast down, and then it's like, here's the thing that I always think about, like, so if they had this stuff then, why wasn't this stuff in the First Order? I guess we'll have to see what this order is versus the First Order, if they're just like Imperial separatists that's still trying to do this thing and not part of the First Order. So, I mean, I don't think we really know, but they basically come down and get the homie Grogu. So, there's a pretty cool scene where Grogu is in captivity, and there's some stormtroopers there, and he's using the Force and kind of throwing them around. One thing I was scared of, but again, I don't think it will end up happening, is Moff Gideon comes in and sees him like messing with these stormtroopers with the Force, like choking them and stuff. And he instead of telling the other stormtroopers to grab him and stop him, he lets him, kind of keep messing with them. Um, and it reminded me of, what happened in the prequels and in the original trilogy, where they wanted to see Luke kill somebody, or he wanted Anakin to, I believe it was Count Dooku, they wanted him to chop his head off with, do it, do it. So I feel, I was kind of scared, like, oh my God, is he letting him like kill these guys to kind of start letting the hate flow and, make him kind of dark. And again, if he goes down that route, then I think he'll probably die, because then again, why was he not involved in the movies? So there's going to have to be something to explain why he was not part of this big thing with, the plugged in emperor, who was on that big like robotic crane thing. So I don't know. It was super exciting. I loved it. If you have anything to add and you listen to this for this long and you listen to my ramblings, thank you. I hope to put out another episode soon, maybe this weekend. I don't know. I have a couple topics to talk about, I guess. I've been pretty bad at this, and I guess also just because I keep on assuming that nobody's listening, and I think technically right now nobody is, but it's good practice in good form. If you can, I hate it to be like this, but it is what it is. Click like. If you can subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It'd mean a lot to just kind of know there's other people out there. And if there are, I'd love to talk to you, hear your comments and stuff. I'm on Instagram at In the Cut with Arthur on IG, and you can follow me on. I'm also on Twitter right now, and my Twitter is. It's actually In the Cut W Arthur. There's a limit to how long you could do, so I could have with Arthur. So In the Cut W Arthur, and then In the Cut with Arthur on IG. And yeah, thank you for being in the cut. I'm Arthur. I'm in the cut. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye.